Hello and welcome. I'm a hotel AI expert, and it's my pleasure to welcome all of you, the students of Europe Hotel School, to your online learning journey. Today, we're going to dive into a skill that is absolutely critical for any future leader in our industry: demand forecasting.
What we're going to explore together is how technology is completely reshaping hotel operations. Think of this as a journey, really. A journey from the old way of doing things to the intelligent, data-driven systems that are going to define your entire careers. So, let's start with the basics. What exactly is demand forecasting? Well, at its core, it's the art and science of predicting what your guests are going to do. And this one single activity, it influences pretty much everything in a food and beverage operation. If you get it right, you optimize your purchasing, you perfect your staffing levels, and most importantly, you make your guests happy. But if you get it wrong, well, those costs can add up, and fast.
Here's our game plan. First, we'll lay down the fundamentals. Then, we'll take a look at the old, traditional way of doing things, before we jump into the really exciting part, the AI-powered shift. We'll put them side by side, talk about how AI actually works with your expertise, and then we'll wrap up by looking at what all this means for your future. So, let's get started.
Okay, first things first. Let's really nail down why this is so fundamental. I want you to think of forecasting as the very bedrock of all your planning. Without a solid forecast, every single decision you make afterwards, from ordering fresh produce to scheduling your team, is basically built on guesswork. And you see it everywhere. In a restaurant, you're predicting how many covers you'll do for lunch and dinner. For the banqueting department, it's a whole different ballgame. You're trying to estimate attendance and consumption for massive events. And then you've got room service, where you're dealing with the super unpredictable behavior of your in-house guests. Each one of these needs a totally distinct forecasting approach.
So how did we handle this in the past? Well, the traditional method really came down to two things: history and a manager's intuition. It was the standard for decades, but as we're about to see, it has some pretty serious limitations in today's incredibly complex world.
The main question of the traditional method was pretty simple. What happened before? It was all about looking backward, How many covers did we do on this same Tuesday last year? It's a very reactive, rearview mirror kind of approach.
The toolkit was pretty straightforward. You'd look at historical averages, you'd use a manager's gut feeling, you'd make a few small adjustments for a holiday or a local event, and you'd look at what happened in the last couple of days. Now, don't get me wrong, the judgment of an experienced manager is priceless, but this method often just couldn't keep up with sudden changes in the market or new guest preferences.
And now, let's talk about the revolution. This is the AI-powered shift. And this isn't just a simple upgrade. It's a completely different way of thinking about forecasting. We're moving away from looking at static averages and into the world of dynamic pattern recognition. Now this is the real game changer. The core question completely flips. AI doesn't just ask what happened, it asks why it happened. It digs deep to understand that complex web of conditions, the weather, a local concert, a marketing campaign that led to a certain result, so it can predict when those same conditions might happen again.
And to answer that why, AI is hungry for data, a massive amount of diverse data. It's not just your point of sale system and reservations. It's looking at all these external factors like weather forecasts, what conferences are happening down the street, local flight schedules, even how well your latest marketing email performed. It connects dots in a way that, frankly, is just impossible for a human to do manually.
All right, so let's put these two methods right next to each other, because when you see them in a direct comparison, it really highlights how fundamentally AI changes the entire process and empowers you as a modern manager.
Okay, so the crucial difference here is adaptability. A traditional method sees an anomaly, like a sudden crazy busy night or a strangely quiet one, and it treats it like a problem to be smoothed out of the average. But an AI system, it sees that exact same anomaly as a piece of valuable information. It asks, what caused that? And it learns from it, making the next forecast even smarter.
And this table just illustrates that difference perfectly. You can see the focus shifts from just static averages to dynamic patterns. The data, it explodes from just limited historical numbers to these huge, diverse data sets. And the outcome, it goes from being a rough guide to a precise, responsive prediction that you can actually build your strategy on.
And what's really cool is that this same intelligence works across all different time frames. AI isn't just thinking about tomorrow. It's working simultaneously on the short term for your daily staffing, the medium term for your weekly purchasing, and the long term for your annual budget. And it's constantly updating all of those predictions as new information comes in.
Now, a question I get all the time is, does this technology make my job as a manager obsolete? And the answer is an emphatic no. The goal here is to augment your expertise, not to replace it.
This quote from our source material really says it all. AI gives you a highly accurate, data-driven starting point. It does all the heavy lifting, all the complex data crunching, which frees you up to focus on strategy and the uniquely human side of hospitality. Your role actually becomes even more critical. You take that forecast from the AI, and then you apply your unique understanding of your hotel's brand, the local market, and of course your guests' expectations. You provide the crucial context that no algorithm can ever fully understand. It's a really powerful partnership between human and machine.
So finally, let's bring this all together and talk about what mastering this skill really means for you and for your career. Because this isn't just some academic exercise. It has tangible, real-world benefits.
The single biggest benefit is the strategic shift it allows you to make. You get to move away from constantly reacting to yesterday's numbers, and you step into a role where you have proactive control, where you are actively shaping your outcomes based on intelligent foresight.
And the outcomes for the business are just huge. You can dramatically reduce costly food waste. You improve service quality because your staffing is perfectly aligned with demand. All of this strengthens your financial performance across the board. And for you personally, it establishes demand forecasting as a core foundational skill that will mark you as a real leader in this industry. So, I'll leave you with this one question to think about. As you move forward in your studies at Europe Hotel School and then out into your careers, think about this partnership. How will you, as a future leader, combine your unique human expertise with the incredible analytical power of AI to shape the future of hospitality? Thank you.